ASMR. Today is a bit of a special one for the channel, as it's the 1 year anniversary. I did have a live stream planned, but unfortunately I couldn't get the technology to work. The webcam that I was using just wouldn't seem to connect with the video, so even though you could hear me in the live stream, unfortunately you couldn't see anything that I was doing, so that's a bit of a bummer. But what I'm going to do instead is just do the video that I had planned, which is opening a lot of different products and just going through them and just kind of celebrating this little bit of a milestone that the channel's received. I do enjoy making these videos. It's been super fun doing it for the past year. I know I slowed down a little bit over the winter break, but I am slowly ramping it back up again. Starting with this video should be a bit of a long one, so hope you're ready to relax and listen to me whisper and open Magic the Gathering products. So we'll go through what we've got to open. There is a Lost Caverns of Ixalan gift bundle. In my opinion, this was probably the best product in 2023 from Magic. It's such good value for money. If you don't mind wasting money on trading cards, that is. But this was the best sealed product by a long shot. The Doctor Who Commander decks were pretty good value as well, for what you got inside. Even if you weren't interested in the unique Doctor Who cards, the reprint value was pretty special. So, but I think this just narrowly pips it, just because you get all you new unique cards that are really good as well. I've also got a Warhammer deck to open and go through. This is actually the first Warhammer deck that I've ever bought. I didn't buy any of them when they first came out, just because I wasn't. I'm not a huge Warhammer fan, so I don't know the lore that much. I've got a couple of friends that are into it, and they were super hyped for it, but yeah, I didn't really get into it. I just bought some of the singles that were good for decks that I already owned, and then there was one legendary card that I really liked the idea of building around, so I did that, and that's now probably one of my favourite decks. But I saw this one and saw that the old commander is a sort of like a demon tribal sort of deck, so I might have a go at building that. And then we've just got some loose packs as well. Today I actually did my first Ravnica remastered draft, which although I didn't win, I did manage to get into the prize pool, so these were the 2 packs that I won in the prize pool. I unfortunately came 4th out of 16, so it's not horrendous, but I would have liked to have kept my streak of coming first, but there we go. But yeah, came 4th playing a Bant. It was Bant Control Aggro, which was a very weird combination of cards, but it did well. It just there was the guy that I lost to who actually won the draft. He had a Rakdos deck where he just had a lot of Rakdos Guild mages, and unfortunately a lot of my creatures were 2/2s, so for 4 mana he could just kill half of my board most of the time. But there we go. And then we've got a new Capenna collector booster and a Jumpstart 2022 booster as well. So I think what I'm actually going to do is start by opening these 2 boosters here. I just have to find out what I did with my scissors. I had them, and now I don't. let's start by opening the Ravnica Remastered. I didn't open anything like decent really in my draft pool, but it was just a really good Bant build. Had a lot of control in there, a lot of counter spells, and then the green was there to just kind of throw a bit of aggro into it as well, and it did work really well, to be fair. So here we go. The first card is Burning Tree Vandal. 2 and a red for a 2/1 human rogue with Riot. Whenever it attacks, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Orzhov Enthusiast. 2 and a black for a 2/2 human assassin with Haunt. When it enters the battlefield, or the creature it haunt dies, destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn. Helium Squirter. Sorry, trying to get the focus right there. 4 and a blue for a 0/0 beast mutant with craft 3. And then you can pay 1 for target creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. Gains flying until end of turn. Siege Worm. 5 and 2 green for a 5/5 worm with Convoke and Trample. A very solid common card in green there. Root-born Defences. 2 and a white for an instant. Populate. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Cloud Fin Raptor. 1 blue for a 0/1 bird mutant with flying and evolve. Mephitic Vapors. 2 and a black for a sorcery. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn, and you surveil 2. Gather Courage. 1 green mana for an instant with Convoke. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. A Whisper Agent. 1 and then a Dimir mana for a 3/2 human rogue with flash. When it enters the battlefield, surveil 1. That's another solid common to draft in the set there. The first uncommon is Experiment 1. 1 green mana for a 1/1 human ooze with Evolve, and you can remove 2 +1/+1 counters to regenerate it. Golgari Guild Mage. Golgari mana for a 2/2 elf shaman. 4 and a black and sacrifice a creature to return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Or 4 and a green to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Two arms. 1 and a white for an instant. Untap all creatures you control. Draw a card. Oh, unfortunately we've got a no rare pack there. We've got Bedazzle. Bedek is Rakdos for an instant. Target creature gets +3/-3 until end of turn. And Bedazzle is 4 black red for an instant. Destroy target non-basic land. Bedazzle deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Each opponent loses 2 times X life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. And beautiful Sam McKinnon artwork there. And then we have a Gruul Guildgate. That's a land. Enters the battlefield tapped, and it taps for red or green, with an Elf Knight token at the back. So that wasn't a great pack. Those split cards, I always call them no rare packs, because they're just not really what you want to see. They're okay for draft, they have their uses in draft, but you'd rather see a good card when just cracking packs like this. And we're on to the second prize pack. Drudge Beetle, 1 and a green for a 2/2 insect with scavenge for 5 and a green. Syndicate Messenger, 3 and a white for a 2/3 bird with flying and afterlife 1. Scorched Rusalka, 1 red mana for a 1/1 spirit. You can pay 1 red and sacrifice a creature for it to deal 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. Disembowel, X and a black for an instant. Destroy target creature with mana value X. Kiora's Dam Breaker, 5 and a blue for a 5/6 Leviathan. When it enters the battlefield, proliferate. Scab Clan Mauler, red green for a 1/1 human berserker with Bloodthirst 2 and Trample. Totally Lost, 4 and a blue for an instant. Put target non-land permanent on top of its owner's library. Azorius Arrester, 1 and a white for a 2/1 human soldier. When it enters the battlefield, detain target creature an opponent controls. Skewer the Critics, 2 and a red for a sorcery with Spectacle red mana. Skewer the Critics deals 3 damage to any target. We've got another Golgari Guildmage. Golgari mana for a 2/2 Elf Shaman. 4 and a black, and sacrifice a creature to return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And 4 and a green to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Voyager Staff, 1 mana for an artifact. Pay 2 and sacrifice it to exile target creature. Return the exile card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Sphinx of New Prav, white, blue, for a 4/3 Sphinx with flying and vigilance. Spells your opponents cast that target Sphinx of New Prav cost 2 more to cast. So essentially Ward 2. Oh wow. Another no rare pack. That's really bad luck, in my opinion. We've got Response Resurgence. Response is Boros for an instant. It deals 5 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. And Resurgence is 3 red-white for a sorcery. Creatures you control gain first strike and vigilance until end of turn. After this main phase, there is an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. use command 1 and a red for a sorcery. Create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. And Orzhov Guildgate, a land that enters tapped, and it taps for white or black, with a bird token there. So 2 pretty terrible packs in my opinion. You'd be a little bit sore if they were ones that you'd paid for. But I think now what we're going to do is go on to the Lost Caverns of Ixalan gift bundle. Do really like this product, especially with the Japanese cards, not Japanese cards, Jurassic Park cards. The last time I opened one of these, I unfortunately got 2 basic lands, which aren't worth a lot. But hopefully we get one of the more expensive Jurassic Park cards. The artwork there. I do like that poster, I think that's really cool. And we have the box. Oh, sorry about the dice noise there. With Wizards giving us the free recycling as always. And the yellow amber dice. It's one of the better D20s, I think. And then we have 8 set boosters, a collector booster, and some land packs. Be mistaken, but I thought the Jurassic Park card, came in a separate bundle, but I could be wrong. Maybe I am wrong. But it's always good getting these basic lands as well. I do like those lands. I'm just going to open this one and see if it comes with the Jurassic Park card. The promo of the set is Hit the Motherlode. 4 and 3 red mana for a sorcery. Discover 10. If the discovered card's mana value is less than 10, create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the difference. Oh, yeah, we do have there's a Jurassic Park card. I think that's a good one as well. Savage Order. 2 green for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature with power 4 or greater. Search your library for a dinosaur creature card, put it onto the battlefield and then shuffle. It gains indestructible until end of turn. I think that's actually a really good hit for the new dinosaur deck. And then there's just a bunch of basic lands that are already curling slightly. I do hate the new Wizards foiling process. It's not very good. And I'm just going to open these quickly as well, because I will use these basic lands. I love putting them in decks. set boosters and finish on the collector booster. If we do that. And here's the first booster. There's something nice and shiny in the back there. We've got a nice art card. We have Promising Vein. It's a cave that taps for colours, and you can pay 1, tap it and sack it to search your library for a basic land card and put it on the battlefield tapped. A Braid, 1 and a red. For an instant, deal 3 damage to target creature or destroy target artifact. Disruptor, Wanderglyph, 4 mana for a 3/4 golem. When it attacks, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. Cogwork, Wrestler, 1 blue for a 1/2 gnome with flash. When it enters the battlefield, a target creature an opponent controls gets -2, -0 until end of turn. 1,000 Moons Crack Shot. 1 and a blue for a 2/2 human soldier. When it attacks, you may pay 2 and a white. When you do, tap target creature. 1,000 Moons Infantry. 2 and a white for a 2/4 human soldier. Untap this creature during each other player's untap step. Helping Hand, 1 white for a sorcery. Return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Malamet Warscribe, 3 and 2 white for a 4/3 cat warrior. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Dauntless Dismantler, 1 and a white for a 1/4 human artificer. Artifacts your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped, and you can pay XX white and sacrifice it to destroy each artifact with mana value X. Next up is Akawali, the Seething Tower. 1 black-green for a 3/3 fungus. It has Descend 4. It gets +2/+2 in Trample, and Descend 8. It gets an additional +2/+2 and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Oh, nice. Roaming Throne. That's a really big hit. 4 mana for a 4/4 golem with ward 2. Enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. It is the chosen type in addition to the other types. And if a triggered ability of another creature you control of the chosen type triggers, it triggers an additional time. That's a nice hit. Oh, and then at the back here we've got a Alt Art foil Resplendent Angel. I'm not sure if that's as big as it used to be, but that looks really nice. It's 1 white for a 3/3 angel with flying. At the beginning of each end step, if you gained 5 or more life this turn, create a 4/4 white angel with flying and vigilance. And then for 3 white, Resplendent Angel gets +2/+2 and lifelink until end of turn. Oh, it's very flashy. So we'll go on to the second pack. Another piece of art card there. Hidden Cataract, enters tapped and it taps for blue, or you can pay 4 and a blue to discover 4. Walk with the Ancestors, 4 and a green for a sorcery. Return up to 1 target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Discover 4. In the Presence of Ages, 2 and a green for an instant. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a creature card and or a land card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. Didact Echo, 4 and a blue for a 3/2 Spirit Cleric. When it enters, draw a card, and it has Descend 4, which gives it flying. Basking Capybara, 1 and a green for a 1/3 Capybara with Descend 4, gets +3/+0. Staggering Size, 1 and a green for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample until end of turn. Hermetic Nautilus, 1 and a blue for a 1/4 Nautilus with Vigilance. You can pay 1 and a blue for it to get +3/-3 until end of turn. Cavernous Maw, it's a cave that taps for colourless, or you can pay 2 for it to become a 3/3 elemental creature until end of turn. You can only activate it if caves you control plus the number of K cards in your graveyard is 3 or more. Ujbembak, the Great Mistake, 3 blue, black for a 6/4 skeleton horror with Vigilance and Menace. It has Descend 8, 4 blue-black, to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Capra Zotti Sunborn, 2 red-white for a 4/4 human soldier. When it attacks, you may tap 2 untapped artifacts and or creatures you control to discover 3. Deep Root Pilgrimage, 1 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever 1 or more non-token merfolk you control become tapped, create a 1/1 blue merfolk creature token with hexproof. And Runaway Boulder, 6 mana for an artifact with flash. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 6 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and you can cycle it for 2. We also have a Spell Stutter Sprite on the list, this is, with 1 and a blue for a 1/1 Fairy Wizard with flash and flying. When it comes into the battlefield, counter target spell with converted mana cost X or less, where X is the number of fairies you control. So this is pack 3. To be fair, I'm already pretty happy with the box, just because of that Walking Throne. It's going to be such a commander staple, I think. Any sort of tribal deck will want it, or typal should I say, sorry. And there's the art card. Hidden Nursery. It's a cave that enters tapped, and it taps for green, or you can pay 4 and a green and sacrifice it to discover 4. Primordial Nora, 4 and a black for a 5/2 insect horror. When it dies, discover 3. Deathcap Marionette, 1 and a black for a 1/1 fungus with Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, you may mill 2 cards. Brood Rage Mycoid. 3 and a black for a 4/3 fungus. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, create a 1/1 black fungus creature token with this creature can't block. Echo of Dusk. 1 and a black for a 2/2 vampire spirit with descend 4. It gets +1/+1 and lifelink. Screaming Phantom. 2 and a black for a 2/2 spirit with flying. When it attacks, mill a card. Spyglass Siren. 1 blue mana for a 1/1 Siren Pirate with flying. When it enters the battlefield, create a map token. Sorceress's Spyglass. 2 mana for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, look at an opponent's hand, then choose any card name. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Merfolk Cave Diver. 2 and a blue for a 2/4 Merfolk Scout. Whenever a creature you control explores, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked. Caslem's Stone Tree. 2 and a green for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield and put the rest on the bottom in a random order. And then it has Craft with Cave for 5 and a green. To become Caslem's Strider, which is a 5/5 golem. The rare of the pack is Abuela's Awakening. X3 white for a sorcery. Return target artifact or non-aura enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield with X additional +1/+1 counters on it. It's a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying in addition to its other types. And then we have another Castlem Stone Tree in foil. And Cursed Flesh from the list. 1 black, 2 for an aura. Enchanted creature gets -1/-1 and can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and black creatures. So on to pack 4 now. So we have the art card. We've got one of the old art non-basics as well. Happy to keep those. Waylaying Pirates. 3 and a blue for a 3/3 human pirate. When it enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Shipwreck Sentry. 1 and a blue for a 3/3 human pirate with defender. As long as an artifact enters the battlefield under your control this turn, it can attack as though it didn't have defender. Brackish Blunder. 1 and a blue for an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If it was tapped, create a map token. Dead Weight. 1 black mana for an aura. Enchanted creature gets -2/-2. Careening Minecart. 3 mana for a 3/3 vehicle. When it attacks, create a treasure token and it crews for 1. Volatile Fault. It's a cave that taps for colourless, or you can pay 1 and sacrifice it to destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. That player searches their library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. you create a treasure token. Enterprising Scallywag. 1 and a red for a 2/2 Goblin Pirate. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, create a treasure token. Scytheclaw Raptor. 2 and a red for a 4/3 dinosaur. Whenever a player casts a spell, if it's not their turn, Scytheclaw deals 4 damage to them. Bloodletter of Aclazots. 1 black, black, black for a 2/4 vampire demon with flying. If an opponent would lose life during your turn, they lose twice that much life instead. I have a feeling that will be going in the new Warhammer demon deck that I'm about to open. We've also got Saheeli, the Sun's Brilliance. Blue, red for a 2/2 human artificer. You can pay blue and a red and tap her to create a token that's a copy of another target creature or artifact you control. Except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. And then we have Forgotten Monument. It's a cave that taps for colourless. And other caves you control have tap, pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any colour. And then we have a bat creature token. Drop that there. Two mythics in 1 pack is pretty good. I definitely like the demon one. I've already built Saheeli as a commander, so I might have another deck for her to go in. I'm not sure yet, but some more artwork. Promising Vein, a cave that taps for colourless, or you can pay 1, tap it and sack it to search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. There he is, Poison Dart Frog. 1 and a green for a 1/1 frog with reach. You can tap him to add 1 mana of any colour, and you can pay 2 mana for it to gain Death Touch until end of turn. Nurturing Bristleback. 5 green green for a 5/5 dinosaur. When it enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token, and it has forest cycling for 2 mana. Dinotomaton. 3 and a red for a 4/3 dinosaur gnome with menace. When it enters the battlefield, target creature you control gains menace until end of turn. Relics Roar. 1 blue for an instant. Until end of turn, target artifact or creature becomes a dinosaur artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/3 in addition to its other types. Rampaging Spiketail. 4 and 2 black for a 5/6 dinosaur. When it enters the battlefield, target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn, and it has swamp cycling for 2 mana. Pit of Offering, which is a cave that enters tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, exile up to 3 target cards from graveyards. You can tap it to add colourless, or you can tap it to add 1 mana of any of the exile cards' colours. Zoyoa Lava Tongue. Black, red for a 2/2 Goblin Warlock with Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, each opponent may discard a card or sacrifice a permanent. This creature deals 3 damage to each opponent who didn't. Zoyoa's Justice. 1 and a red for an instant. The owner of target artifact or creature with mana value 1 or greater shuffles it into their library. Then that player discovers X, where X is its mana value. Visage of Dread. 1 and a black for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an artifact or creature from it. That player discards that card, and it has craft with 2 creatures for 5 and a black. And it becomes Dread or Saucersaur, which is a 5/4 dinosaur skeleton horror with menace. And when it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may mill 2 cards. Then the rare of the pack is Matzalantli, the Great Door, which for 3 mana is a legendary artifact that you can tap to draw a card, then discard a card, or pay 4 to transform it. But you can only activate if there are 4 or more permanent types among cards in your graveyard. And it becomes the Core, which is a legendary land that you can tap to add X mana of any one colour, where X is the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. And then you have Panicked Altisaur, 4 and a red for a 4/5 dinosaur with reach. You can tap it to deal 2 damage to each opponent. And then you also have a map token. So on to pack 5. Piece of artwork there. Oh, and a full art non-basic island. I'll put that to one side. Another chance. 2 and a black for an instant. You may mill 2 cards, then return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Join the Dead. 1 black for an instant. Target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. And it has Descend 4. That creature gets -10/-10 instead. Fungal Fortitude. 1 and a black for an aura with flash. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0. And when it dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Mine Shaft Spider. 3 and a black for a 3/4 spider with reach. When it enters the battlefield, you may mill 2 cards. Child of the Volcano. 3 and a red for a 3/3 elemental with trample. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Glowcap Lantern. 1 green for an equipment. Equipped creature has, you may look at the top card of your library anytime, and when it attacks, it explores. The equip cost is 2. Xenode Scout. 1 green for a 1/1 Merfolk Scout. When it enters the battlefield, it explores. Coty Scavenger. 2 and a green for a 3/2 Raccoon with Descend 4. When it enters the battlefield, return target permanent card from your graveyard to hand. Spring-loaded Saw Blades. 1 and a white for an artifact with flash. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage to target tapped creature and opponent controls. And you can pay 3 and a white to craft with artifact. Blade Wheel Chariot. There's a 5/5 vehicle. Tap 2 other untapped artifacts you control for it to become an artifact creature until end of turn, or it has a crew cost of 1. And then we have a Jade Light Spelunker. X and a green for a 1/1 Merfolk Scout. When it enters the battlefield, it explores X times. And then we have Primordial Nora, 4 and a black for a 5/2 insect horror. When it dies, discover 3. And then we have a token. On to pack 7. Oh, we've got a signed art card there. I do collect those. Captivating Cave. It's a cave that taps for colourless, or you can pay 1 and tap it to add 1 mana of any colour, or you can pay 4, tap it and sack it to put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature, but only at sorcery speed. Acrobatic Leap. 1 white for an instant. Target creature gets +1/+3 and gains flying until end of turn. Untap it. Burning Sun Cavalry. 1 and a red for a 2/2 human knight. When it attacks or blocks while you control a dinosaur, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Marauding Brine Fang. 5 and 2 blue for a 6/7 dinosaur with ward 3. It also has island cycling for 2 mana. Panicked Altiosaur. 4 and a red for a 4/5 dinosaur with reach. You can tap it to deal 2 damage to each opponent. Staunch Crewmate. 1 and a blue for a 2/1 human pirate. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact or pirate card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Swashbuckler's Whip. 1 mana for an equipment. Equipped creature has reach and 2 and tap. Tap target artifact or creature. And 8 and tap to discover 10. The equip cost is 1. Captain Storm Cosmian Raider. Blue and a red for a 2/2 human pirate. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target pirate you control. Idol of the Deep King. 2 and a red for an artifact with flash. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target, and you can craft with artifact for 2 and a red. To make us sovereigns, Makuato, might be pronouncing that wrong, I apologise. It's an equipment that when it enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. An equipped creature gets +2/+0. And then we have Indominus Rex, which is 1 Demir, green, for a 6/6 dinosaur mutant. When it enters the battlefield, discard any number of creature cards. It enters with a flying counter on it if a card discarded this way has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Haste, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample and Vigilance. And when it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each counter on it. And then we have Restless Ridgeline, which is a land that enters tapped. You can tap it for red or green, and you can pay 2 red and a green for it to become a 3/4 red and green dinosaur creature until end of turn. When it attacks, another target attacking creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn, and you untap it. And there's a foil Spelunking, which for 2 and a green is an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you put a cave onto the battlefield this way, you gain 4 life. And lands you control enter the battlefield untapped. That's actually not a bad foil hit. It's one of the better uncommons in the set. on to the last regular set booster. And there is the art card. Hidden Cataract. There's a cave that enters the battlefield tapped, and you can tap it for blue, or pay 4 and a blue, tap it and sack it to discover 4. Cogwork Wrestler, 1 blue mana for a gnome, for a 1/2 gnome with flash. When it enters the battlefield, a target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-0 until end of turn. 1,000 Moons Crack Shot, 1 and a white for a 2/2 human soldier. When it attacks, you may pay 2 and a white. When you do, tap a target creature. 1,000 Moons Infantry, 2 and a white for a 2/4 human soldier. It untaps during each other player's untap step. Adaptive Gem Guard, 3 and a white for a 3/3 gnome. Tap 2 untapped artifacts and or creatures you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on Adaptive Gem Guard. Activate only as a sorcery. Attentive Sunscribe, 1 and a white for a 2/2 gnome. When it becomes tapped, scry 1. Tendril of the Myco Tyrant, 1 and a green for a 2/2 fungus wizard. You can pay 5 and 2 green to put 7 +1/+1 counters on target non-creature lands you control. It becomes a 0/0 fungus creature with haste. It's still a land. Explorer's Cache, 1 and a green for an artifact. It enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Explorer's Cache, and then you can tap to move a +1 counter from it onto target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. Malamet Battleglyph, 1 green for a sorcery. Choose target creature you control and target creature you don't control. If the creature you control enter the battlefield this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then those creatures fight each other. Oteklan Landmark, 1 white for an artifact. When it enters, scry 2, and you can craft with artifact for 2 and a white. And it becomes Oteklan Levitator, 1 and a 4 for a golem with flying. And when it attacks, target attacking creature without flying gains flying until end of turn. And then we have Starving Revenant, 2 black for a 4/4 spirit horror. When it enters the battlefield, surveil 2. Then for each card you put on top of your library, you draw a card and lose 3 life. And if you have Descend to 8, whenever you draw a card, target opponent loses a life and you gain 1 life. Deep Cavern Bat, 1 and a black for a 1/1 bat with flying and lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, look at target opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it until Deep Cavern Bat leaves the battlefield. Oh, putting me rare on the wrong pile there. And then we just have a rules for a draft. And now we're on to the collector booster. Really excited to open this one. Mantle, which is an equipment that when it enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature, and it has equipped creature gets +2/+0 with an equipped cost of 2. Soaring Sandwing, 4 and 2 white for a 3/5 dinosaur with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life, and it has plane cycling for 2 mana. 1,000 Moons Crackshot, 1 and a white for a 2/2 human soldier. When it attacks, you may pay 2 and a white to tap target creature. Deconstruction Hammer, 1 white for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has 3, and tap and sacrifice Deconstruction Hammer. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. The equip cost is 1. Abyssal Gorestalker, 4 and 2 black for a 6/6 horror. When it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices 2 creatures. Akawali, the Seething Tower, 1 black-green for a 3/3 fungus with Descend 4. It gets +2/+2 and Trample, and Descend 8. It gets an additional +2/+2 and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Rune Lurker Bat, 1 white for a 1/1 flying lifelink bat. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, scry 1. And then we have a full art foil swamp. Thrashing Brontodon, 1 green for a 3/4 dinosaur. You can pay 1 and sacrifice it to destroy target artifact or enchantment. Restless Prairie, enters the battlefield tapped, and you can tap it for green or white. You can also pay 2 green and a white for it to become a 3/3 green and white llama creature until end of turn. And when it attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Then we've got Tarian's Journal, 1 and a black for a legendary artifact. Tap and sacrifice another artifact or creature to draw a card. Or you can pay 2, tap it, and discard your hand to transform it. And it becomes the Tomb of Aklazots. It's a cave that taps for black, and you can tap it and you may cast a creature spell from your graveyard at this turn. If you do, it enters the battlefield with a finality counter on it, and is a vampire in addition to its other types. And then we have a Contest of Claws, 1 and a green for a sorcery. A target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. If excess damage was dealt this way, discover X where X is that excess damage. Oh, and then we have another Restless Prairie, but in full art this time. So it enters the battlefield tapped, and it taps for green or white, and you can pay 2, a green and a white, for it to become a 3/3 green and white llama creature until end of turn. And when it attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Oh, I want to say that's the really big hit from Jurassic Park, I could be wrong. Ravenous Tyrannosaurus, 4 red-green for a 6/6 dinosaur with Devour 3. When it attacks, it deals damage equal to its power to up to 1 other target creature. Excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller. And Sanguine Evangelist, 2 and a white for a 2/1 vampire cleric with battle cry. When it enters the battlefield or dies, create a 1/1 black creature token with flying. And then we have a foil treasure token with a bat on the back. So yeah, that wasn't a bad gift box at all, really. Quite happy with those pulls. the two Jurassic Park cards and the roaming throne even are very good hits in my opinion. And there were some other good cards as well. Just going to put those to one side to go through later. Next up, I think I'm going to do these two booster packs. So I'm going to start with a jump start, I think. Oh, so we've got walls, which is just terrible. But okay, we'll go through it. Wicked Wolf, 2 green for a 3/3 wolf. When it enters the battlefield, it fights up to one target creature you don't control, and you can sacrifice a food to put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it gains indestructible. Tap it. Mild-mannered Librarian, 1 green for a 1/1 human, and you can pay 3 in a green for it to become a werewolf, and put 2 +1/+1 counters on it and draw a card. At the beginning of Pack Song Pup, 1 and a green for a 1/1 wolf. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control another wolf or werewolf, put a +1/+1 counter on Pap Sock Pung, and when it dies, you gain life equal to its power. Wolf Willow Haven, 1 and a green for an aura. Enchant Land. Enchanted land is tapped for mana. Its controller adds an additional green, and you can pay 4 and a green and sacrifice it to create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Then we have Arlen, Voice of the Pack, 4 green for a 7 toughness planeswalker. Each creature you control that's a wolf or werewolf enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter, and you can -2 to create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Ferocious Pup, 2 and a green for a 0/1 wolf. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Bounding Wolf, 2 and a green for a 3/2 wolf with flash and reach. Fierce Witch Stalker, 2 and 2 green for a 4/4 wolf with trample. When it enters the battlefield, create a food token. Spectral Hunt Caller, 4 and a green for a 4/4 wolf spirit. You can pay 5 and a green for creatures you control, get +1/+1 and trample until end of turn. Wolf's Quarry, 4 and 2 green for a sorcery. Create 3 1/1 green boar creature tokens with, when this creature dies, create a food token. Prey Upon, 1 green for a sorcery. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Wolfkin Bond, 4 and a green for an aura. Enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. An enchanted creature gets +2/+0. We have a Frithing Grove, which is a non-basic land that enters tapped. And when it enters, choose a colour other than green. And you can tap it for green or 1 mana of the chosen colour. And then we have a load of forests. And then we shall go on to the new Capenna booster. rakish revelers. 2 red, green, white for a 5/3 elf druid rogue. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token, and you can pay 2 and exile it from your hand. Target land gains. Tap for red, green or white until Rakish Revelers is cast from exile. You may cast it for as long as it remains exiled. High Rise Saw Jack. 2 and a green for a 2/3 elf citizen with reach. Whenever it blocks a creature with flying, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Case the Joint. 3 and a blue for an instant. Draw 2 cards, then look at the top card of each player's library. Daring Escape. 1 red mana for an instant. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. Scry 1. Knockout Blow. 2 and a white for an instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a red creature. It deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature and you gain 2 life. Elegant Entourage. 3 and a green for a 4/4 elf druid with Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature other than Elegant Entourage gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. And then we have a foil forest, which that looks really nice actually in foil. I've not seen many of these styles of land before. And then we have Masked Bandits. 3 black, red, green for a 5/5 raccoon rogue with vigilance and menace. You may pay 2 to exile it from your hand for target land to gain add black, red or green until Masked Bandits is cast from exile. And then we've got Nimble Larcenist. White, blue, black for a 2/1 bird rogue with flying. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an artifact, instant or sorcery card from it and exile it. And then we have Botanical Plaza. It's a non-basic land that enters tapped, and it taps for green or white, and you can pay 2 green, white, tap it and sack it to draw a card. And then we've got Giada Font of Hope. 1 and a white for a 2/2 angel with flying and vigilance. Each other angel creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each angel you already control, and you can tap it to add white, but spend this mana only to cast an angel spell. Agents Toolkit. 1 green, blue for an artifact clue. When it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter, a flying counter, a death touch counter and a shield counter on it. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may move a counter from Agent's Toolkit onto that creature. You can pay 2 and sacrifice it to draw a card as well. Evolving Door. 2 and a green for an artifact. You can pay 1, tap and sacrifice a creature. Count the colours of the sacrificed creature, then search your library for a creature card that's exactly that many colours, +1. Exile that card, then shuffle. You may cast the exile card. Activate only as a sorcery. And then we have Obscura Interceptor, which is for 1 white, blue, black. You get a 3/1 Cephalid Wizard with flash and lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, it connives. When it connives this way, return up to 1 target spell to its owner's hand. And then we have Cross Defensive Contractor. Knight Advisor. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a shield counter on target creature an opponent controls. Whenever you put one or more counters on a creature you don't control, tap that creature and goad it. It gains trample until your next turn. Oh, that's a pretty cool idea for a commander. I've not heard of that one before. And then we've got a fish and dog token, which I need the dog token for Ginny Faye, so I'll keep hold of that. So there we go. That's all the packs that I've got. There is just this one last thing to open. So let's get started. The paper deck box with it. And it's the usual Commander affair where you get a really thick cardboard version of it with the tokens, which I'm not going to open up in this video. And then you have the deck itself. So let's just quickly get into that and we'll start. Has an easy open tab and then it isn't easy to open. Right. We're in. To the camera, I think. I apologise if these look a little bit darker than they normally do. So, we've got Abaddon the Despoiler, 2 blue, black, red, for a 5/5 Astrates warrior with trample. It's got Mark of Chaos Ascendant. During your turn, spells you cast from your hand with mana value X or less have Cascade, where X is the total amount of life your opponents have lost this turn. And then we've also got Belaclaw, the Dark Master, which is probably who I'm going to run as the commander. It's 3 blue, black, red for a 6/5 demon noble with flying. When it enters the battlefield, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of demons you control. And whenever another demon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Lord of Change, 6 and a blue for a 6/6 demon with flying and ward 3. When it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. Blight Grenade, 4 and target creature. All creatures get -3/-3 until end of turn. The Great Unclean one. 4 and a black for a 4/5 demon. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses 2 life. Then for each opponent who has less life than you, create a 1/3 black demon creature token named Plague Bearer of Nurgle. Mandate of Abaddon. 3 and a black for a sorcery. Choose target creature you control. Destroy all creatures with power less than that creature's power. Mortarian Daemon Primarch. 5 and a black for a 5/6 Daemon Primarch with flying. In the beginning of your end step, you may pay X. If you do, create X 2/2 black Astartes warrior tokens with menace. X cannot be greater than the amount of life you lost this turn. Nurgle's Conscription. 4 and a black for an instant. Put target creature card from an opponent's graveyard onto the battlefield tapped under your control. Then exile that player's graveyard. Plague Drone. 3 and a black for a 3/3 demon with flying. If an opponent would gain life, that player loses that much life instead. Pox Walker. 2 and a black for a 3/1 zombie with Death Touch. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, return Pox Walker from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Sloppity Bile Piper. 3 and a black for a 3/3 demon. You can pay 2 and tap it and sacrifice a creature. The next creature spell you cast this turn has Cascade. And Tallyman of Nurgle. 2 and a black for a 2/3 Astartes warrior with lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. If 7 or more creatures died this turn, instead you draw 7 cards and lose 7 life. Venom Crawler. 3 and a black for a 2/2 demon with lifelink. Whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Venom Crawler. Aspiring Champion. 3 and a red for a 3/3 Astartes warrior with menace. When Aspiring Champion deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle the rest into your library. If that creature is a demon, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Bloodthirster. 5 and a red for a 6/6 demon with flying and trample. Whenever Bloodthirster deals combat damage to a player, untap it. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. Bloodthirster cannot attack. A player is already attacked this turn. Dark Apostle. 3 and a red for a 3/3 Astartes Warlock. It has Gift of Chaos, which is 3 mana, and tap it. The next non-creature spell you cast this turn has Cascade. Keeper of Secrets. 5 and a red for a 6/4 demon with First Strike and Haste. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Keeper of Secrets deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to target opponent. Khan the Betrayer. 3 and a red for a 5/1 Astartes Berserker. It attacks or blocks each combat if able. and when you lose control of it, you draw 2 cards. If damage would be dealt to Khan the Betrayer, prevent that damage. An opponent of your choice gains control of it. Knight Rampager. 4 and a red for a 6/5 knight with trample. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose an opponent at random. It attacks that player that combat if able, and when it dies it deals 4 damage to target an opponent chosen at random. Let the Galaxy Burn. X5 red for a sorcery with Cascade. Let the Galaxy Burn deals X plus 2 damage to each creature that didn't enter the battlefield this turn. Blood for the Blood God. 8 and then black red for an instant. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature that died this turn. And then discard your hand. Then draw 8 cards. Blood for the Blood God deals 8 damage to each opponent. And then you exile it. Chaos Defiler. 3 black red for a 5/4 demon construct with trample. When it enters the battlefield or dies, for each opponent choose a non-land permanent that player controls. Destroy 1 of them chosen at random. Chaos Mutation. 3 blue-red for an instant. Exile any number of target creatures controlled by different players. For each creature exiled this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card, puts that card onto the battlefield, then puts the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. And then we have Draknian. 4 black red for an equipment. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target creature. Equipped creature has menace and +X/+0, where X is the exiled card's power, and the equip cost is 2. Exalted Flamer of Sentek. 2 blue-red for a 2/4 demon. At the beginning of your upkeep, return an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard to hand. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Hell Brute. 3 black-red for a 5/4 Astrates Dreadnought. With haste, you may cast it from your graveyard by exiling another creature card from your graveyard, in addition to paying its other costs. The Horus Heresy. 3 blue, black, red for a saga. Each opponent gains control of up to 1 target non-legendary creature that player controls, for as long as it remains on the battlefield. Draw a card for each creature you control but don't own. And then starting with each player, choose a creature. Destroy each creature chosen this way. And then we have Kill, Maim, Burn. 3 black-red for an instant. Choose 1 or more. Destroy target artifact. Destroy target creature. Or deal 3 damage to target player. Lucius the Eternal. 3 black-red for a 5/3 Astrates Warrior with haste. When it dies, exile it and choose target creature an opponent controls. When that creature leaves the battlefield, return Lucius from exile to the battlefield under its owner's control. Magnus the Red. 3 blue-red for a 4/5 demon Primarch with flying. Instant and sorcery spells you cast costs 1 less to cast for each creature token you control. And whenever it makes deals combat damage to a player, create a 3/3 red spawn creature token. Mutilith Vortex Beast, 4 blue-red for a 6/6 mutant beast with trample. When it enters the battlefield, flip a coin for each opponent you have. For each flip you win, draw a card. For each flip you lose, it deals 3 damage to that player. Pink Horror, 3 blue-red for a 4/4 demon horror. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 2 damage to any target. And when it dies, create 2 2/2 blue and red demon horror tokens. With whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 1 damage to any target. The Ruinous Powers, 2 black-red for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose an opponent at random. Exile the top cards of that player's library. Until end of turn, you may play that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any colour. When you cast a spell this way, its owner loses life equal to its mana value. Zangor Shaman, 2 blue-red for a 3/3 mutant shaman with flying. Whenever it deals damage to a player, copy the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn. You may choose new targets for the copy. Past in Flames, 3 and a red for a sorcery. Each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. And then it's got flashback itself of 4 and a red. Decree of Pain, 6 black for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. Draw a card for each creature destroyed this way. And it has cycling 3 black. And when you cycle it, creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Blasphemous Act, 8 and a red for a sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. And then we have Chaos Warp, a really good card in Commander. 3 and a red for an instant. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield. Reverberate, red for an instant. Copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Warstorm Surge, 5 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Chromatic Lantern, 3 mana for an artifact. Lands you control have tap 1 to add mana of any colour, and then it taps to add 1 mana of any colour. And I believe this is the land base. Oh no, we'll put those at the back. I'm not going to do the land base because I'm running out of time, but we'll do all of the non-lands for sure. Heralds of Sench, 4 and a blue for a 3/3 demon with flying and cascade. Nurgle's Rot, a 1 black mana for an aura. Enchant creature an opponent controls. When enchanted creature dies, return it to its owner's hand, and you create a 1/3 black demon creature token named Plague Bearer of Nurgle. Blood Crusher, Horn, 3 and a red for a 3/3 demon knight with trample. Other creatures you control have trample. Chaos Terminator Lord, 3 and a red for a 3/3 Astrates warrior. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn. Herald of Slanesh, 2 and a red for a 2/2 demon. Demon spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Other demons you control have haste. Noise Marine, 4 and a red for a 3/2 Astrates warrior with Cascade. When it enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to the number of spells you've cast this turn to any target. Seeker of Slanesh, 3 and a red for a 3/3 demon with haste. Each opponent must attack with at least one creature each combat if able. The Lost and the Damned, 1 blue-red for an enchantment. When a land enters the battlefield under your control from anywhere other than your hand, you may cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand. Create a 3/3 red spawn creature token. Bile Blight, black for an instant. Target creature and all other creatures with the same name get -3/3 until end of turn. Bituminous Blast, 3 black-red for an instant with Cascade. It deals 4 damage to target creature. Assault Suit, 4 mana for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, has haste, cannot attack you or planeswalkers you control, and can't be sacrificed. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may have that player gain control of equipped creature until end of turn. If you do, untap it. The equip cost is 3. And then you have Soul Ring, which for 1 mana, you get an artifact that taps for 2 mana, the commander's favourite. Talisman of Creativity, 2 mana for an artifact that taps for colourless, or you can tap it for blue or red and it deals 1 damage to you. Talisman of Dominance, 2 mana for an artifact that taps for colourless, or it taps for blue or black and deals 1 damage to you. Talisman of Indulgence, 2 mana for an artifact that taps for colourless, or it taps for black or red and deals 1 damage to you. Worn Power Stone, it's an artifact that costs 3, and when it enters the battlefield tapped, you can tap it for 2 colourless mana. And then I think the rest are aren't basic lands. No, there's still a few more to go. Just gonna make sure everything else is... Yeah, that's all lands now. So we're not going to do the lands, I'm afraid. Just running out of time. So we've got Brainstorm, 1 blue mana for an instant. Draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. Dark Ritual, 1 black mana for an instant that adds 3 black mana. Deny Reality, 3 blue-black for a sorcery with Cascade. Return target permanent to its owner's hand. Commander's Sphere, 3 mana for an artifact that taps to add 1 mana of any colour in your commander's colour identity, and you can sacrifice it to draw a card. And the last non-land card in the deck is Wayfarer's Bauble, 1 mana for an artifact that you can pay 2, tap it and sack it to search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So I've been Foamy ASMR. I want to thank you for watching this anniversary video celebrating the 1 year of the channel. If you've been a fan from the start, thank you very much. And if you've only just become a fan, thank you very much as well. I really enjoy making these videos, and I'm glad people enjoy watching them. If you leave a comment below, I'll get back to you. And please like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel grow. I'll see you in the next video.